Welcome to a Road Less Traveled podcast. My name is Hilary Haron and I'm your host. Today we have with us Kerry Barclay. Kerry, can you give us your official title and what exactly it means?
So I am the owner of KB Ventures. That is a third-party proposition player services, which I'll explain. And I'm the head of operations at the 500 Club Casino in Clovis.
Okay.
So in California, cardroom owners are not allowed to profit from gaming. So they have to hire a third-party company in order to fund the gaming.
Okay.
So if you went and played blackjack at 500 Club, 500 Club isn't paying you.
It's not 500 Club's money.
Right. The third party is paying you. So if you win blackjack, I'm taking money out of my pocket and I'm paying you.
Okay.
If you lose, I take your money and I put it in my pocket.
Okay.
And then I just pay the casino monthly to be there.
Okay.
So that's what KB Ventures does. And I'm contracted with 2 card rooms in California, in Modesto and in Atascadero.
Okay.
And I did that at 500 Club for 12 years as well. And now I just moved to the other side because you can't do both at the same location.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So it's a little niche. Not many people understand that cardroom owners can't profit from gaming, but that's what it is in California.
That's
it's
really
not Vegas.
interesting. Right. So you can in Vegas.
Right. So whoever the owners of the casinos in Vegas or a tribal casino, even like Table Mountain, Chichancy, they can profit from gaming. So just California card rooms cannot.
California's many fun rules.
Right. One of the many fun ones.
That's very interesting. How did you get into that? How did you get into the gaming world?
So my brother is in the industry.
Okay.
He's one of the owners of 500 Club currently.
Okay.
And when I was going to school in Fresno State, I'm from here, so I stayed home. But I worked for him as an entry-level position just to have a job while I'm going to school because it's 24 hours, so we can work around my school schedule.
Yeah.
I had zero intention, honestly, of staying in the industry, but I ended up falling in love with it, and I worked my way up and eventually started my own business and bought him out, and the rest is kind of history. But that's how I ended up getting into it. So
I imagine it's been super male dominated, both in volume and personality, if you will. How is navigating that? I mean, I'm probably frustrating.
It's hard for sure. I mean, I was thinking about this before I came here, and I'm sure there's female owners of card rooms. You got to think like there's really big ones that probably have 50 owners, and there probably is a female in there. But owner-operator type of position, I mean, I honestly could think of maybe 3 besides me in all of California.
Are there like associations where... like a state association for card room owners where, you know, you guys you get together and you talk, but you also go and, you know, the state capitol and lobby and.
Yeah. So there's a California Gaming Association and they get together once a year and do a golf tournament and then all talk business and what's going on in the industry. And like I said, I mean, I'm probably one of 3 owner operators that are there that are female. There's other females there, don't get me wrong. But they're not in that same position typically. So it's hard. And truth be told, you don't get the same respect. And then on top of being female, I'm also probably the youngest in the industry as well. So I've like a double whammy on me for sure.
Yeah.
Like they're just never going to think I'm the smartest or take me seriously.
Yeah.
And it's taken a long time. And I think I'm kind of getting to that point finally where they're like, oh, like she might be a force to be reckoned with. And she's not just here.
Look, she keeps showing up.
Well, and I think a lot of it was like, well, it's your brother's casino. Of course you're there. You know, and I'm like, I had to work 3 times as hard as any other person to be in that casino, whether it's his or not. You know, I mean, you know how family business is.
Family business is hard.
Right. It has its pros and cons, but you're working twice as hard.
You are, because you're not just trying to prove your worth to your boss. You're trying to prove your worth to all of society or anybody who can see your position.
Right. Right. I mean, there's so many crazy stories, but one of like my recent ones is I went to dinner. I met someone in the industry when I was trying to get another account, and I had this dinner. It was like the most wild thing I've ever sat through. But he literally sat there and was like, "Don't think you have this account. You don't have it." Which in my mind, I'm like, "Well, I think I do." you know, I haven't signed the contract, but I think I'm pretty close, you know. He's like, no, look at you. People take meetings for the way you look. And I was like,
did you say that out loud?
He did. And he followed it up with, but then it's odd because people take these meetings with you and then you start talking and you're actually kind of intelligent, so people don't know how to handle it. And I was like, so because my blonde hair or you know, I just can't be intelligent?
Like,
I can't
again,
be educated?
did you just say that out loud?
I mean, that was like such a small portion of it. But
yeah.
I was like, okay. And we actually went to, that was probably 8 months ago, maybe. And we actually went to dinner a week ago or so. And I'm like, you eating your words yet? Because I definitely got the account, you know?
Yeah.
And he was like, I just, you know, I don't know. Either you are just like an undercover killer or you just, lack of a better term, he said, you just ship money. And I'm not sure which one it is.
Perhaps you're just ignorant.
Right.
Not you.
No.
Him.
Right. And I was like, well, I said, I'll let you figure that one out. I said, but I can assure you it's not the shitting money.
Yeah. But
you know, but it's amazing that he was like, I'm shocked. And I was like, and I'm here to let you eat your words. Like,
okay, so here's another question. Why do you keep having dinner with this fool?
Well, there's only been 2.
Yeah.
And the first one was that. And the second one, I was like,
now what?
Right, exactly. I'm like, and here I am.
I love it.
Yeah.
So you love the industry.
I do love the industry. I mean, it will keep you on your toes.
Yeah. It
is busy. It's 24 hours a day, 365. I mean, it's a lot.
Well, it's heavily regulated, yeah?
Heavily regulated.
I mean, I come from the car business, as you know. Probably one of the 2 most regulated things, and jumping through those flaming hoops is a lot. How do you keep up with that?
I mean, I do my best, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, you have to have a good team, honestly, and just always staying on top of research and reading regs and reading ordinances and asking questions. And plenty of people don't want to ask questions for fear of looking not intelligent or not knowing what's going on. I will ask all the questions.
How else do you gain intelligence? Like, how do you gain the information then?
I think they just brush it under the rug and hope no one ever brings it up.
It must be nice to be a man.
Right. If I'm being honest, I think they're just like, well, this might be someone else's problem, you know? But
do you have relationships with your legislators? Like, or do you feel comfortable talking to them about how the decisions that they're making like practically impact the business that you have that employs people?
So we haven't had a ton to do with that up until probably the last couple of years. And now there's lots of changes and voting and things that need to happen. So a lot of the cardrooms kind of get together and fund it and send out our best of the best to go and talk to all of these people and try to help out, you know, all of the craziness that's going on, especially in California. But I feel comfortable for sure. But we always want to send our best foot. Maybe it's someone who knows from A to Z exactly what needs to be done, where I can just be like, I employ this many people. You can't do this to us. Help me help you. Like, you know. So, but we do all get together and come up with a game plan and then step out with our best foot forward.
That's amazing. I don't really understand how it works. I mean, I'm gathering how it works. And it can be a little bit of a rough and tumble industry, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, the industry itself, sure. But even like just day to day, if we're just talking about a business and not the industry, for like a 500 club, for example, you're running like 5 businesses in one.
Yeah.
You know, you have your poker side of the gaming, you have your Cal side of the gaming, you have security, which typically a lot of people will outsource. You have a bar and restaurant.
I was gonna say food and beverage.
Right. So, I mean, it's honestly like 5 businesses in one, and you're trying to keep it afloat, and you never shut down. We never shut down.
Yeah.
So there's not that time to like, okay, let's revamp and tomorrow we're going to start something new. It's well, we have to do it while staying open because we're not closing the doors.
Well, and you guys have grown quite a bit in the last, I don't know, few years, 5-10 years.
Yeah. So the previous owners expanded back in 2012, I believe, which we were there. So we were the banker then. Okay. That's what we called the third party. And then my brother switched sides in 2019. And so we did another revamp kind of then. And then now, you know, with the industry and moratoriums that expired and now put back in place, everyone's trying to grow if possible. So we'll see.
Okay. How many, do you mind, if you don't mind answering this, if you do, you don't have to, but about how many people do you employ?
At 500 Club by itself, we have 270 employees.
I mean, that in California qualifies you as like a larger business, and all that, then all the flaming hoops apply to you.
Right.
That's got to be difficult. Are you guys struggling with staffing?
In certain departments. Yeah. I think for like on the banking side, I struggle more with staffing than I do on the casino side.
Okay.
Because the casino side gets tips. So
yeah.
that kind of really helps out, where the banking side can't take tips. It's a conflict of interest. So for them, like my banking side's a lot harder staffing wise than the casino side is.
Right.
But like, you know, housekeeping, security guards, things like that, they're still tipped, but not to the extent of a dealer or something like that. So they're hard to keep happy, but I think we do a pretty good job actually. But yeah, I mean, staffing in California, I think is hard no matter
definitely
what industry you're in at 100%. This point.
What did you study in college?
I got my degree in business with an option in finance.
Okay. Oh boy, I barely passed finance. And by barely passed, I mean, I literally had extra help. What if you didn't do the cardroom, what were you going to do?
I wanted to get into banking of some sort, but like end goal, I wanted to be like a venture capitalist.
Okay.
And
so you kind of achieved that.
Kind of, you know, but I want people to bring me their business ideas, which now maybe I have friends that do that, so I get my little fun there. Yeah. But I mean, I wanted to be able to hear people's ideas and be a part of it from the startup. And just by networking, you get those opportunities now.
Yeah.
That's what I ultimately wanted to do, was that. But I couldn't get a job after college.
Yeah.
It was rough. I mean, I probably applied for 150 jobs.
Wow.
In and outside of California, up and down California. And I was overqualified or underqualified. And there was nothing in between. It was hard. I mean,
interesting.
I mean, it ended up fine. Like,
right. Well, and
in hindsight, I'm thankful, but like it was rough. I mean, you spend all that time in college and then you kind of have nothing to show for it a little bit.
You spend all that money. And I mean, entrepreneurship is born out of necessity, right?
Right.
Either a market need or survival. So, I mean, you got the best of both worlds, I guess. You got hammered on both ends.
For sure. I'm happy with where I ended up, but I mean, ultimately that wasn't the plan.
Right.
You know, but.
And you're in a 24/7 business. What do you do? Well, I have two questions. What do you do to recharge? But that one's after. What do you do when you want to give up? Like you want to just say, fuck it all. I'm out of here. I give up. How do you walk yourself back from that?
Oh, I mean, I have those moments. Don't get me wrong. I have one particular manager who, he is like my ride or die. He was with me from KB Ventures. I took him with me to 500 Club. He still works for me for KB Ventures, and I lean on him a lot. But I do call my brother, and I'm like, what the fuck did you get me into here? Like, you know, I went from almost like retired, and now I'm doing all this. Are you kidding me? But I mean, I have my meltdown and by myself, and then
you move on.
Yeah, and I suck it up and show up again. I mean,
you get the therapist bill, submit it to your brother, like just bill it to this address.
Right. I should actually, but yeah. I mean, I always just think like maybe I'm one more step away from getting this to be a well-oiled machine. Like that's my goal. Well-oiled machine, then I can relax.
Yeah.
And I'm not there yet. My company at 500 Club was for sure. Now that's why I'm switching sides to get this side like that. But I'm always like, okay, one more day. And it's always one more day.
Just one more thing, one more thing. I'm just going to fix this.
I'll be happy. If I get this here and these policies and these procedures in place. But I know like what my end goal is. And I think I just know that's where I want to go.
Yeah.
And the sooner I get there, then the sooner I get to relax is kind of what I'm thinking. And
that's
what helps me get through it.
What helps you recharge? Like what gives you the energy to give one more day?
I mean, I probably don't recharge if I'm being completely honest. I mean, that's probably my biggest downfall. Like, I mean, there's no work-life balance really, especially because we don't shut down.
Yeah.
So it's not even if I wanted to like not work for a night, it's like something's going to come up.
Yeah.
You know?
Does technology make that a little bit easier?
Not really. I mean, it's more or less like managing people.
Yeah.
So the technology isn't really going to help that too much.
That's
Unfortunately, I would love if something happened to where where I could do that. But yeah, it's more of like keeping the people in line and keeping them happy and being compliant and staying out of lawsuits or whatever.
And making sure everybody else is compliant.
Right. Just overseeing like everything and minimizing the fires. I mean,
minimizing the fires is the only way that you can put them out is if you minimize them in the first place.
Yeah. And that's kind of where we're headed. So a lot more structure, a lot more policies, a lot more, this is what I expect. So it's coming. It's in process.
Have you had like a mentor in the industry other than your brother?
I wouldn't say probably in the industry, no. My brother played a big role in it though. I mean, he's probably a big reason why I am the person I am today and why I'm successful and all of the things. I mean, he has had my back like a JanSport backpack the entire time. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he schooled me a time or two too, don't get me wrong, but he has been the biggest driving factor. And, you know, I want to make him proud and I want us to, you know, it's a family business with just me and him. Our parents aren't involved. So it's just me and him. And, you know, I want the goal where we just get to sit back and relax one day, you know?
Are you guys ever able to have like lunch or dinner or conversations that aren't business? We struggle with that. That's why I ask.
No, honestly, it always comes up at some point.
Oh, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot to mention this. And oh, don't forget about that appointment tomorrow. And, you know, so very few, I'd say, end up without any business whatsoever, to be honest. But it's not all a drag either. You know what
it
I'm
makes
saying?
Holidays kind of weird, but otherwise.
Yeah, it's probably weird for everybody else except for me and him. Everyone's like, this is boring. But, you know,
what are you even talking about?
Yeah, they're just like, okay. But
are there other women up and comers in the industry or even in your own business that you have recognized that you want to bring along? I mean, that's kind of related to the mentorship question. Are you available as a mentor to women who want to get into this industry, or are you even seeing any that do?
I mean, if I'm being completely honest, I don't see anybody who is like super into wanting to be in management at a card room.
Yeah.
I think what's hard in this industry is there's plenty of female dealers or servers or whatever, but tips are so good and stuff like that. They're like, why would I want to move up and have more responsibility and
for
make
actually
the same,
less pay?
Well, yeah, and probably less in the end, you know. So it is hard. I'm actually going to be looking for another admin assistant. So I'm hoping to hire from within and see if there's someone who is interested in maybe HR one day or just something different to be able to start working someone up there. We literally talked about that like 2 days ago, so it's funny. But there hasn't been any females per se that have came up and said, I want to do what you do. I've had males do that.
Of course. But you're like, well, you can never do what I do, so.
Right. I'm like, well, we can work on it, you know. But I think everyone's also shocked when they actually sit down and see what I do. I think they're like, oh, I just think you have fun all the time. And you have other people do the work for you and all the things. I'm like.
Because that's what people see on social media, right? They are seeing the highlight reel. They're not seeing the reality.
Right. Instagram versus reality.
Yeah, exactly. And then you see like the Instagram versus reality and you're like, that's not even reality. That's also Instagram. Like, even I posted for Easter like our Instagram and our like reality where nobody's looking at the camera and everyone's like,
I know, it's so cute.
But it was still like, it is still Instagrammable. Like,
right.
There's some reality I'm not sharing. Like, I'm not putting the picture up there.
Of course. I mean, I think there's plenty of people that are never going to do that either. Nor would people want to see it or even understand it. They'd be like, why is she posting that? I'm like, you know, I mean, I'm not huge into social media by any means, but yeah, I mean, I think people just have this idea that like I do whatever I want, whenever I want, and you know, I have other people to pick up the pieces. And I'm like, oh, I pick up so many people's pieces, to be honest with you.
The way that society, this is a big deal for me, at least my observations. The way that society views women as like the caretaker or the mom, for lack of a better term, I think that the credit gets taken from what you actually do. Like, it's almost expected of you, right? Because you're the mom. We have family business. It was my dad, my cousin, and I, and it was always, if it fell away from everybody else, like, what, you didn't catch it? Like, what? Do you get that? Does that happen when, or do you have employees that go from like your brother to you to your brother to you?
No, actually, I put a stop to that pretty quick. I mean, screeching halt. Actually, I'm like, don't even contact him. If you haven't talked to me, don't even think about contacting him. But like I said, he's had my back 100%.
Right. So as long as he's on board, that makes sense.
Right. And so that's what I think has given me a lot of authority. I mean, I would have gotten authority either way, but I think it's made it a quicker transition for people to be like, well, I guess we're not running to him. He's not making the decisions, I don't think, you know? So,
oh, he didn't fix it. Shit.
Right. So, but I'm there a lot more. And he put in his work, and I kind of want him to relax, and now it's my turn. Essentially, is kind of how I see it, and I think I'll do it faster. I'm being honest. Like,
probably will.
I think I will. I just need someone to have my back, which he does, so it's nice.
And you guys have always been close?
Yeah, I mean, we're close for sure, but really, we're 14 years apart.
Okay.
I mean, there's a pretty big age gap there. So it's almost like having like another dad, essentially. You know?
Yay!
Just what I needed. Yeah. But yeah, we've always been as far apart as we are age-wise, very close.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Familial relationships are hard, and then working with your family adds another hard. And nobody tells you that everything is freaking hard.
It's harder with family. Yeah. That's my opinion, but
100%.
Yeah. People are just like, oh, well, you know, it's her brother. It's this. And it's like, I guarantee you wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. Like,
do you have that burning to kind of set the record straight?
Oh, yeah.
To be
That's why I keep going to dinner with that guy.
Right, that guy. Like, look.
Yeah. I mean, I hate when people underestimate me. It's a big thing. And I think it's probably a big driving force, too. I mean, it might be one of my biggest flaws, too. At this point, I shouldn't probably care. But I'm a big, like, I told you so.
Yeah.
Like, here I am. Like,
well, and if we don't embrace our flaws, we can't make them work for us, right? So.
Right. Exactly. But yeah, no, I don't like being belittled or people thinking that I can't do something. I'm like, I can do whatever it is you're saying that I cannot do.
I feel like there's a book in there somewhere.
Maybe. I would love to have a book about like a life story from like beginning to end, like the next Molly's game, but like on the other side, not poker, but like Cal side, blackjack
right?
side.
Like all the things, because I feel like, you know, even myself, like people are ignorant to what it is, especially if you're talking about KB Ventures and you're like, we're the bank.
Right.
You're like, okay, you're the bank. So you give them the money and then they figure it out.
Right.
And I think it's probably a lot more involved than that.
It's a lot more involved. I mean, casino industry is obviously more regulated, but you think about like the movie Casino or all of these movies that are about real life, you know, and things have changed, but it's still like there's wild stuff that happens. Yeah. You know, and all the fires you put out and all the things, it's interesting for sure. So that's my retirement plan. That's
the one. I think it'd be wildly interesting, especially when you're in it, like you're in your day-to-day career, you're in your day-to-day job. There's a lot of things you don't necessarily want to talk about. They're things that don't even deserve the exposure right now, but you know, once you've coped with them, perhaps they have entertainment value.
Oh, I think it'd be a great movie. I do. I'm like, it'll be so interesting. Like, it'd be so fun. I would love that, but you know, in my free time.
Right. 100%. So when you do have free time though, what do you for fun?
Oh, I like to like go out with my friends or hang out with my friends, go on vacations, even if it's just to LA or Vegas or whatever, blow off a little bit of steam. But I can't say there's not really a time where I'm not working, which is also a flaw of mine.
Well, we have those cell phones, right? You know, you can't disconnect.
No, I can't. I'm very bad about that. And I know I'm bad about it, but it's just not there yet. Yeah. And I don't know if I feel comfortable like just leaving it. I'm like, is the casino burning down or not? Like, what's happening while I'm gone, you know?
I mean, rightfully so. Right. Rightfully so, because, well, like we talked about, all the flaming, you know, circus hoops from California, you need everybody else to be compliant because ultimately it falls on you anyway. Has it been difficult for you to gain the traction? I mean, you're commanding, and I love that. With your staff, because you have such a large staff, was it Was it difficult, or was the transition kind of smooth, or did you just be like, I don't even care, this is what it is now?
I mean, honestly, like I've been there since 2012, so it's not like the staff doesn't know me.
Got it.
They just didn't work for me.
Yeah.
So
that transition's hard too.
Right. So they knew how I ran because my company at 500 Club was a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're shocked, but a lot of them are happy, and a lot of them are probably like, we're gonna have to work a little bit harder, you know? But so far so good. I had a lot of congratulations when I switched sides, which I was a little bit shocked about. But like, yeah, I think everyone's on board. They know how good they have it there too.
Yeah,
you know?
that's valid. It's valid.
Truth be told.
Yeah.
But it's good for everybody, a little bit of structure.
And you do a lot of community stuff. You're involved in the community.
Yeah.
Does the philanthropy part, does that kind of give you the energy? Does that like re-energize you to work just as hard to be able to do that stuff, or to work harder to do that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think it helps for sure, because it can always be worse. On my worst days, I go to those meetings and go, your worst day is some people's best day.
Yes.
You need to like reel it in and suck it up and figure it out. But
that perspective is so important.
It's so important. But I also feel like if you're a good person, good's going to come to you. So I do try to donate when I can, or raise money, or for the less fortunate, or
your time is so valuable too.
It is, but I just think it's good to do. If you have the means to do it, you absolutely should. And good things happen to good people, and I truly believe that. But I enjoy helping people. So it does help me keep going for sure.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm going to wrap it up. I have two final questions. Do you have a piece of advice for women who may be wanting to get into, and maybe not even just the cardroom, but into kind of a venture capital? You're in the venture capital role, but who want to go that route?
In a male-dominated industry?
Yeah.
I was waiting for this question because I'll be blunt with you, and this is my honest answer, and people may like it, they may not, but it's the truth. If you're going into any male-dominated industry as a female, my honest advice would be, just because you don't physically have balls doesn't mean you don't have the biggest balls in that room.
Yeah.
And you have to act like that. As bad as it sounds, you have to be like that, or they're going to walk all over you. And that's a fact. They're going to try to tear you down. They're going to, you're going to get more hate than applause. I mean, you're going to work twice as hard to prove yourself.
Yep.
So you better go in there and own it. Because if not, you're not going to have a seat at the table, I don't think. They'll push you out.
You have to take the chair. And what advice would you give to little you? Or even if that one's tough, what do you wish you knew stepping out of college?
I don't know. I mean, I think I need to reflect more a little bit, because I've always like had goals like, oh, when I drive this car, I've made it. Oh, when I've done this, I've made it. And a lot of those have been done, and I'm just like, what's next?
You check that box and you're like,
right. So, I mean, little me, I'd say like celebrate the victories a little bit more and realize how far you come. Do a little bit more reflecting to where that might motivate you too to keep going, because I have to sit and think and I go, wow, like I've came really far, but it doesn't seem like I've came far at all. But every goal that I wanted as a little kid, drive this car, have this business, make this much money, whatever, I've hit, and it just doesn't even seem like I've done anything, So I wish I would reflected.
From the outside, we can see it.
I appreciate it. But I wish I reflected a little more and then gave myself a little bit more credit where credit was due early on and at each step. That's probably what I would say.
I think that's incredible advice, not only for yourself for the future, but for everybody. Celebrate your little victories.
Right, yeah. I agree.
Otherwise, what are you doing? Because when you get to X, what have you been doing?
Right, and that's what I do. I get to X, I'm like, what's next?
Yeah.
And I don't go like, sit here and enjoy it for a minute before you go on to the next thing. Like, this is what you asked for. This is what you wanted. This is what you worked hard for.
Now you sit there and you enjoy it.
Right, you sit and enjoy what you did, yeah. But that's probably something I wish I did more. Because now it's like in hindsight, I'm like, well, I can sit and think of it as a whole now, but I should have done it every step of the way.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's a first step to more enjoyment of your successes.
Yes.
Thank you very much for coming today. I'm so happy to finally meet you.
I know.
I feel like we were friends already. And thank you for being here, and thank you for sharing all of your perspective with us.
Yeah, of course. Anytime. It was fun.
Thank you.
A huge thank you to our incredible guests for sharing their stories, wisdom, and breaking down barriers with us. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. Your support means the world to me and helps spread the word about the amazing women paving the road less traveled in male-dominated industries. If you have suggestions for a future guest or topic you'd like me to explore, please reach out on social media. I'd love to hear from you. Follow me on your favorite social platform for updates and behind the scenes. Keep pushing boundaries, challenging norms, and lifting each other up.